It's the extremist movie debate, and tonight we're talking 2017's War Machine.
I'm Joe.
I'm Ethan. One of us is gonna love it. One of us is gonna hate it.
Let the coin decide their fate.
Beer. I love it.
I hate it. Hey guys, I'm gonna talk like this the whole time because that's what Brad Pitt does. There's spoilers ahead.
All right.
I hate it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
All right, and this film currently holds 57% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Should be lower.
False. Which makes it rotten. Ethan.
Damn right it does.
Please, you gotta stop. I don't like where this is going.
Jesus.
Ethan, since you love this movie, this first question is for you. This comes from Travis Hobson of Punch Drunk Critics. Travis says, there is satire here or a lazy attempt at it, but the targets were scattershot and the jokes not particularly insightful or funny. So how well do you think the movie played in terms of the tone? You have 1 minute.
I think the tone was excellent. I think the reviewer got the movie wrong. I don't think the movie was meant to be satire, albeit that Pitt played it with a little bit of a Dr. Strangelove feel. But the rest of the cast and the crew, it's all just straight face. Like, this movie is based on, a Rolling Stone journalist book, based on this interview and this tour that he did with these people. Like, this is based on General McChrystal. Like, it is actual. These are people. This happened, and it's a lot like watching The Big Short, where there are jokes and there's, some humor to it, but this is actually shit that happened, and when things need to get depressing, it gets depressing, and when things need to get serious, it gets serious. And this movie doesn't play for, all the giggles, because this is real serious war. They are conducting war in Afghanistan. They're trying to end this war in Afghanistan by winning it. They're doing their best. They're fighting for America. They're fighting for your freedom, you dickhole. And they need respect. They need to not be made fun of by fucking Netflix.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. Joe, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Well, I think Ethan brought up the main reason this movie's bad is because it is supposed to be a satire. It has been marketed as a satire. The filmmakers have come out and said this is a satire, but they're basing it on something that's real. And I think that's the issue is you can't completely exaggerate something and make fun of itself when it's based on a true story, because you have a responsibility there. So I think it's trying to blend these two different.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Ethan, you have 15 seconds to respond.
I feel like then the main reason you don't like this movie is that you're the only person alive who actually saw marketing for this film. I'd have never heard of it before until you said, hey, you guys want to do War Machine? And we texted back did you just misspell Wonder Woman? We did not understand what you were talking about because no one has heard of this movie except you.
Thanks, Ethan. Joe, you have a final 15 to respond.
It doesn't take away from the fact that it was supposed to be a satire, and the intention of the movie from the filmmakers was to make a satire. So if I picked up on that and you didn't, it just means you didn't watch close enough.
Says who?
Okay,
the
hold
filmmakers.
On.
Where?
Okay, thanks, guys. We're gonna go to the next question.
Thank you.
And Joe, this is
Say thank you.
This is for you, Joe. This comes from Rick Kissenack of 7 Days. Rick says, one of the craziest things you'll see on a screen, any kind of screen this year. War Machine has its flaws, but long before the closing credits roll, you're likely to surrender to its bizarre charm. So we've already established that this is a satire, and so what can you find...
What?
Because you guys just literally argued about it being a satire or not. So what can you find?
Doesn't mean we established it.
What can you find?
We did not come to a conclusion.
Jeff said that we established it. I win.
He's the moderator.
No. So what can you find so potentially charming about a satire based around the war in Afghanistan? You have 1 minute.
Wait, what could I find charming in this fictionalized movie that could possibly be made?
It's not fictionalized.
No, no, that's my question. If this movie didn't exist, what could I find charming in a real life movie?
No, what are you finding charming about a movie that's being satirical about, the real world events that are happening right now that are poking fun of?
Okay.
You have 1 minute.
So...
I'm sorry, you're too dumb to understand the question.
No, I don't think this... Well, this is the issue. This movie's not charming because it's not fictionalized. If they fictionalized it... a la Doctor Strangelove, like Ethan had already brought up, like that movie fictionalized the Cold War, and it's hysterical and it's really, really funny. And they actually got at like real issues and real problems in the U.S. government's hierarchy. So they figured out and needled these little fucking spots that were bad about the chain of command. And the U.S. government actually changed the way that they did things because of Doctor Strangelove, because they didn't want that to actually come to fruition. Whereas this movie, instead of looking to the future, it's looking to the past. So it's trying to satirize something that's already happened, which isn't as funny and it doesn't work as well because it's not fictionalized. That's what, like, basically, it's trying to mend these two different genres. It's trying to take like a biopic and a satire, and it's trying to put them together, and it's not working.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Ethan, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Sorry, it's pronounced satirize.
And also, it's pronounced hierarchy.
We love you.
I don't even care. Because you guys got what I was getting at.
Totally. This movie is absolutely charming in that you do have real people that this movie is based on. However, you change their names. And so by changing their names, you are allowed to have a little bit more fun with it. You're allowed to, cast Topher Grace. You're allowed to cast Anthony Michael Hall, the nerd from The Breakfast Club, as the bull-headed alpha male guy who's, second in command. Like, him yelling and throwing things is a lot of fun to watch, even if maybe he's actually just nailing the performance of the real person that he's supposed to portray. But we wouldn't know that because it's a false name. It's a character created by the movie.
Sorry, Ethan, I had to cut you off there. Joe, you have 15 seconds to respond.
So Ethan just said, oh, it's okay because they changed the names. But no, this movie made it so fucking easy to figure out what the real story is. That, like, it doesn't matter that they changed the names, because all you have to do is do a quick Google search and you know exactly what the real story is.
Thanks, Joe. Ethan, you have a final 15 to respond?
Again, man, you are the only person, searching anything about this movie.
You searched it.
You're the only person who figured out that this movie existed, that this movie had marketing. You actually watched some behind-the-scenes stuff to figure out what the crew said about it. And you Googled some things to figure out who the real people were. I'm enjoying this movie on the surface.
Okay,
I'm not connecting it to the real people.
I'm sorry, thank you, Ethan.
But here's the thing. You're the one...
Excuse me, gentlemen. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to discuss back and forth and go.
You're the one who brought up the real general's name, so you clearly knew exactly what the story was talking about. Did you Google it?
I have respect for the war in Afghanistan, the people who fought for our very freedom and lost their lives and sacrificed. Even in this movie, sacrificed his home life. His wife does not love him in this movie. Sacrificed much
hold on, if this is
for
the route,
our freedom.
If this is the route you're going, if this is the route you're going, you've already lost.
This movie is able is able to pay respect to those people while also
no, it doesn't.
masking their identity so that we can also poke fun of some of them.
No. It's not masking anybody's identity. B,
of course it is.
It's not honoring anybody. This movie is essentially talking about who actually runs wars these days. Not soldiers. Politicians and offices run wars and fight wars and determine the ends of wars. Like, soldiers don't do that anymore. And that this movie is essentially...
So in watching this movie, do you come out actually rooting for Brad Pitt or rooting for the politicians? Whose side do you take in this movie?
You're not rooting for anybody because the politicians suck and the soldiers suck because that's what they're trying to satirize. Is they're trying to satirize the soldiers and how they go about representing themselves on foreign soil, and that's the issue. It's because they're making these people look so fucking
making
dumb,
life or death decisions constantly, and they're in charge of. You see them, the hordes of young men and women that are on the verge of death at any moment, and they have to deal with that. So sometimes they revert.
Are you talking about the one good scene?
They revert to drinking a little bit of excess, dancing a little bit in a pub. That's what you do in a pub is you dance. Just because you happen to be kind of on the clock, that's not that big of a deal. That's
hold on, Ethan. So you're not talking about the actual soldiers fighting the war. You're talking about the shitty people. Because the actual soldiers fighting the war, we get that one scene where they go in and they go in on that town and they kill the boy. And it's really sad and it's really well done. But if you notice something, like none of the main characters are there. So even they're not on the front lines. They're not fighting the war either. They're the soldiers. They're the supposed soldiers brought into this war to end the war. Yet they are still just sitting in pubs and getting hammered.
Yes.
Giving Scott Scoot McNairy just all the fodder he fucking needs.
Both the people hanging out with Scoot McNute and all the people fighting that war in that scene, they are all people who are fighting for our freedom. And
they're not fighting for for anything because they're not fighting. They're sitting in pubs. They're going to dinners.
They are all demonstrating the futility of an insurgents war, and so it's important.
The fucking kid who gets bit in the nut from We Are the Millers, he's the one going into the town, and he's the one doing the gritty hard work, and he's a fucking kid, and he's not the one that should be making these decisions.
Look, okay, that may be what you say in this movie,
after the
but
fight,
that's not fair to say that the other characters haven't put in their dues, haven't done that nitty gritty before to earn their positions in order to take command of Where the Millers Got Bit in the Nuts kid.
And then after that fight, then Brad Pitt comes in and essentially tries to like clean things up, but like none of those like townspeople are happy with it. They're all mad about it.
Yeah. Again, because both factions demonstrate the futility of that war.
So you're looking at this feudal war, and then you're thinking back about like the war that like George Washington fought. Now he was like in the front lines, like going with everybody else.
Pretty much everybody was united against a common enemy.
And that's what I'm saying.
Those enemies fucking had a uniform. They don't have uniforms. So
why are we even here?
Well, that's what the movie is asking us. That's
what the movie's poorly trying to like posit, but it's not.
There have been like 80 movies about wars in the Middle East, and they're all boiled down to.
It's trying to be funny,
this is
but it's
really hard.
Like, this is the thing.
All right,
South
gang,
Park,
I'm going to cut you off there. And what'd you really feel?
It's not great.
It's okay. I liked it more than Ethan did.
It really sucks ass at finding its tone, and
it does do that.
It really just bogs the movie down.
Instead of watching this movie, I watched the best war movie, Major Payne.
That's a fine choice.
Not really a war movie, though.
I kept thinking, like,
starts off with war.
Like, Brad Pitt wants this to be Burn After Reading. It's 100% not. The movie wants to be Doctor Strangelove, but it also at the same time wants to be Jarhead, and you cannot have both. And so the movie just ends up being in this middle ground where it's just so slow and so boring to watch. Like, you're kind of smiling, you're kind of thinking, oh, that makes some good points. I could have just been watching Three Kings instead.
Right. And essentially, like, this movie is getting at what Three Kings did. But I really do think with this true story they had one of two ways to go, and they tried to take both of them, and it fucked the whole thing up.
They hit the median.
That's accurate.
Yeah, they did. They hit the median.
They couldn't decide.
They high-centered their car, and they were like, people will watch it. Brad Pitt's in it.
Floor it. Keep going.
Essentially.
Concerned passersby will look at it.
But like Brad Pitt, like Anthony Michael Hall, like it took me like halfway through because like Ethan watched it before I did. He texted me just like, "Oh, Anthony Michael Hall kills it," and I'm watching it, and I was just like, "Oh, I wonder when Anthony Michael Hall comes in." And I was like, "Wait a minute, that's him right there." So he does a good job.
Awesome.
Yeah, he does a good job. Scoot McNairy narrates half of it, or all of it.
He's hardly in the movie. He narrates the whole movie, but he's only in half of it.
I just like Scoot McNairy, so he does well, and I like Brad Pitt too. But his voice, man, I don't know what the real guy sounds like. Maybe that's what he sounds like.
He's doing an excellent George C. Scott and Dr. Strangelove impression.
Yeah. So Brad Pitt's fine. Like Brad Pitt's always pretty good. I don't think Brad Pitt's ever bad. Some people would disagree. But I think Brad Pitt is an American treasure. He does fine in this movie.
This is one of his best.
But like overall, if you're interested in war movies or political movies, like give it a shot. Like if you don't like it in the first half an hour, you can turn it off, and with knowing it's not going to get any better or change. But yeah, I'd say give it a shot maybe.
Okay, well, what would you guys rate the movie?
I rated a 6 with no thunder.
6, no thunder.
Well, it sounds like you guys are pretty even on this movie then, so...
It is very annoying, too, also to start a movie with, like, 15 minutes of just exposition dump without anybody actually talking, but just Scoot McNairy narrating who every character is without them actually, like, doing anything. Half this movie, they're just, like, walking down an airport terminal, and Scoot McNairy tells you who every character is. It's really bad character introduction, Scoot.
It's pretty good Russell Crowe cameo, though, right?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
All right, well...
Hey... You do your thing.
You could go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. You can comment below. Let us know if you saw it and if you agree or disagree. You can also go ahead and request a movie you'd like us to do in the future if you so desire. You can write a question for that movie. We'll go ahead and Unpaid Intern Jeff will read it on the episode. We'll debate it. And otherwise, thanks, guys.
Thank you and good night.
Thanks.